On Oman television. First, the headlines. Palestinian who carries out the Tel Aviv attack is killed after an exchange of fire with the Israeli occupation forces. Many people are dead and several others wounded in a missile strike on a railway station in Kramatorsk, and the Ukrainian government works to open 10 humanitarian corridors to evacuate civilians. The Food and Agriculture Organization FAO affirms the rise of food prices to a new record in March. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Israeli security forces say they have killed a Palestinian man who opened fire into a crowded cafe in central Tel Aviv and killed 2 people. They said the attacker was tracked down after an overnight manhunt and killed in an exchange of fire. It was the 4th deadly attack in Israel by the Palestinian in less than 3 weeks and came at a time of heightened tensions around the start of the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. Protests and clashes in Jerusalem during Ramadan last year ignited an 11-day Gaza war. Today, tens of thousands of people attended weekly prayers in Jerusalem with no immediate reports of unrest. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov acknowledged yesterday that Russia suffers significant losses of troops in Ukraine, calling it a huge tragedy. Peskov also said Russia withdrew its troops from the Kiev and Chernihiv regions as an act of goodwill to show that Russia is really ready to create comfortable conditions for a continuation of negotiations. Meanwhile, the Kremlin denied today that Russia was involved in a missile strike on a railway station in Kramatorsk in eastern Ukraine. Speaking to reporters on a conference call, Peskov said that the Russian armed forces had no missions scheduled for Kramatorsk today. Ukraine's state railway company said more than 30 people had been killed and over 100 wounded in the strike, which occurred as civilians were trying to evacuate to safer parts of the country. According to the Ukrainian government, 10 humanitarian corridors are operating today to evacuate the civilian population from some of Ukraine's most embattled cities from the city of Mariupol, which has been particularly hard hit by Russian attacks. A route for private vehicles will lead to the city of Zaporizhzhia from the city of Berdyansk, as well as from other places in the east. Civilians will be picked up by buses, but will also be able to use their own vehicles. 5 corridors are to be set up from the Luhansk region to the city of Bakhmut. Operational safe corridors are announced daily in Ukraine through both Russia and Ukraine have accused each other of sabotaging civilian evacuations. The European Union decided yesterday to forego from August purchases of Russian coal, which accounts for about 45% of its total imports. The European Union nations have already announced their intention to cut their imports of Russian gas by the 2/3 by the end of the year, as well as ban European companies from making new investments in the sector critical for the Russian economy. In another highly symbolic decision, Germany has suspended the entry into the service of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which was due to have allowed a significant increase in imports, but the bloc has been reluctant to impose a ban on Russian gas and oil so far. The European Union announced it is closing its ports to Russian ships. Russian truckers are also banned from operating in the bloc. The European Union and NATO members have blocked their airspaces to Russian aircraft, and many Western airlines have halted flights to Russia. The 5th European Union sanctions package adopted yesterday includes a €10 billion ban on exports to Russia, including high-tech goods. The World Health Organization has verified more than 100 attacks on healthcare in Ukraine since the country was first invaded more than a month ago. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus at a news conference in Washington, D.C. said that at least 103 attacks on hospitals and other healthcare facilities in the country, and at least 73 were killed and 51 injured in those incidents. The toll includes medical workers as well as patients. He praised the United States for supporting international health efforts in Ukraine, including the delivery of more than 180 metric tons of medical supplies to hard-hit areas. The United Nations said today that prices for food commodities like grains and vegetables oils reached their highest levels ever last month, largely because of Russia's war in Ukraine and the massive supply disruptions it's causing, threatening millions of people in Africa, the Middle East and elsewhere with hunger and malnourishment. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization said its food price index, which tracks monthly changes in international prices for a basket of commodities, averaged 159.3 points last month, up 12.6% from February. As it is, the February index was the highest level since its inception in 1990. The FAO said the war in Ukraine was largely responsible for the 17.1% rise in the price of grains, including wheat and others like oats, barley and corn. Together, Russia and Ukraine account for around 30% and 20% of the global wheat and corn exports, respectively. Heavy rain triggered evacuation orders in Sydney as swollen rivers threatened homes and flooded roads, and the latest wild weather to lash Australia's east residents in several suburbs of Sydney's south and southwest were told to leave for safety as fast-flowing rivers rose. New South Wales State Emergency Services said they have seen exceptionally sharp short bursts of rain that have created significant flash flooding events around parts of the Illawarra. Images from around Sydney showed submerged roads, cars struggling through flood waters and debris flowing rapidly down rivers or flowing rapidly rivers. Major floods warnings were issued for several suburbs in the south of Sydney, while the entire city of 5 million was warned of potential flash flooding into the weekend. Dar Al Ata Association inaugurated the 23rd SMEs exhibitions with the participation of 145 entrepreneurs. The exhibition was opened under the auspices of Her Highness Sayyida Huriya bint Asad Al Said. More details in the following report.
Within its endeavors to finance the program of caring for needy families and buying Eid clothes for orphans as well as people with limited income, Dar Al Ata Association inaugurated the 23rd edition of SMEs Forum under the name Ata Exhibition at Oman Convention and Exhibition Center.
We have two types of products. Our first product is women modest fashion. So as you can see here behind, we go with women modest fashion and clothes for both the young girls and mothers and so on. And we also exhibit, this year is the first time that we go on and show our artwork as well. So we are trying to be artistic in all the levels. We've been joining this for quite a few years now, and we're more enthusiastic to join this exhibition because of its vision. We share the same vision, and this is why we always join, and this is why it's our aim for its impact on the economy, on the people, and especially in Ramadan.
145 entrepreneurs and owners of SMEs are taking part in the event within the framework of supporting the efforts of the Dar Al Ata Association.
We have travel wear, and we also have daily wear. So it's something suitable for people when they go to work, even for travel. It makes them comfortable, and also our clothes are very much affordable. And the reason that we decided to participate in this exhibition of Dar Al Ata, because also by registering in here, we get the chance to sell our clothes, and also it gives a chance to give this money to poor people, especially that Eid is coming. So it's good that we have a good relation with people and business.
The exhibition contains various products such as incense, perfumes, clothes, accessories, a variety of dishes, and home appliances. The exhibition is a gracious sign of Dar Al Ata Association towards spreading smiles and happiness among needy families, as well as providing them with essential services. From Oman Convention and Exhibition Center, Saleh Bakhalfan Al-Rahbi, Muscat.
The Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth organized a ceremony in the Governorate of North Al-Batina to honor winners and participants in clubs competition for cultural creativity in the level of the Governorate. The competition aims to enhance creative ideas of youth and enable them to compete in various cultural and literary fields in the local and regional levels. Over 940 participants representing clubs of North Al-Batina Governorate took part in the competition. The Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth through these competitions aims to improve and encourage youth talents as well as their innovative ideas. The competition focused on a number of fields including theater, traditional singing, arts, cultural competitions and poems. A campaign to combat Aedes aegypti mosquitoes is being implemented by the Director General of Health Services in the Governorate of Muscat through health promotion activities. I was there last night and I've got this particular report. Let's keep our premises clean to avoid attracting rodents and breeding mosquitoes in order to prevent dengue fever. Under the theme, Be the Change, the Directorate General of Health Services of Muscat Governorate, in cooperation with other related authorities, launched a campaign to combat Aedes aegypti mosquitoes.
We are from Director General of Health Services Muscat Region, Director of Communicable Disease Surveillance Control. Our aim here is to give awareness to people how to protect themselves and the community from dengue fever.
Public health messages with simple prevention measures highlighted to the public to help exert the efforts of eliminating dengue fever. Clear explanations about Aedes aegypti mosquitoes that causes dengue fever were given to one and all.
I've seen the mosquito in the microscope and it differs from the original mosquito. This one is a little larger. The biggest way to protect yourself from this is the still water. Anywhere you see in your house, the still water in the buckets from the AC or from the car wash, the tires, you need to stop the water because it lays the eggs in the water. We can see here in the larvae, also they are laying their eggs and they love the still water. So protect yourself, protect your family, and it's the best way to protect yourself from this dengue virus.
Launching of the campaign came immediately after the Minister of Health announced that more than 76 cases of dengue fever have been recorded in the Governorate of Muscat, Al-Batina North and Al-Batina South. It's great actually to see young and adults are here actually to learn more about the danger of these type of mosquitoes.
My name is Yumna and I'm grade 8 from the SIP International School. So today I came to Muscat Mall and I learned about the mosquito that can affect the human body and where it can be and where it could place its eggs and give birth. So it likes to be in places which are dirty and filled with water. So we should be the change to protect ourselves.
Following Minister of Health announcement, action was taken by various government authorities concerned, where they have put up nationwide vector control plan. The Directorate General of Health Services Governorate of Muscat started implementing health promotion activities through this campaign held here on the importance of eliminating mosquitoes that breed dengue from stagnant water in objects like tires, plastic covers, flower pots, Pitt's water bowls, which breed mosquito called Aedes aegypti. The public here have learned the best way of preventing dengue fever through eliminating pockets of stagnant water that serve as mosquito breeding sites at home, at schools, public places such as marketplaces, workplaces, and their vicinity.
It's great to be here to get all the information to protect ourselves from these mosquitoes, Aedes aegypti.
It's worth mentioning that it is the responsibility of one and all to stay alert to the threat of dengue fever by taking appropriate measures to reduce mosquito breeding and prevent mosquito bites.
The change starts from you to protect yourself and the whole community. Be the change! Indeed, be the change.
Indeed, there be the change, and try to protect ourselves from this dengue fever. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Palestinian who carries out the Tel Aviv attack is killed after an exchange of fire with the Israeli occupational forces. Many people are dead and several others wounded in a missile strike on a railway station in Kramatorsk, and the Ukrainian government works to open 10 humanitarian corridors to evacuate civilians. And the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO affirms the rise of food price to a new record in March. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. From me and the entire news team, we thank you for joining us, wish you a pleasant evening, and good night.